You might be looking at this stock thinking it's a coiled spring ready to explode, but three new documents just hit the SEC database that suggest the people inside the building aren't waiting for the explosion. They are quietly heading for the exits. We need to have a very direct, very honest follow-up conversation about Webull, ticker symbol BULL, because the last time we looked at this company, we left it on a cliffhanger. We had a specific theory. We said that this stock was a battleground between two completely different realities. On one side, you had the diamond, the profitable, growing fintech business that looked incredibly cheap on paper. On the other side, you had the machine, a complex financial structure designed to churn out shares and dilute you. And we ended that analysis with a very specific condition. We said we were going to sit on our hands and watch the filings. We said that until we saw the insiders step up and buy their own stock with their own money, we had to treat this as a distribution event. Well, the waiting period is over. The filings have started to roll in, and they are not telling us the story we wanted to hear. They are confirming the story we were afraid of. I want to walk you through exactly what these new documents say, because when you combine them with the original thesis, the picture becomes razor sharp. We are going to look at three specific filings that dropped in late December and early January. These are Form 144s and a Form 20-F-A. Now, to the untrained eye, these look like boring administrative paperwork, just standard compliance forms. But if you know how to read the tea leaves, if you know how to look for the fingerprints of intent, these documents are screaming at us. They are answering the billion-dollar question, is the bottom in? Let's rewind for just a second to set the stage so you understand the gravity of what we just found. Remember the setup. We have a company that is fundamentally crushing it. They just swung to a $36 million profit. They have over $600 million in cash. They are growing revenue by 55%. If you just looked at the income statement, you would think this stock should be trading at $16 or $18, but it's stuck in the eights. And the reason it's stuck is supply. We identified a massive overhang of shares from early investors and a potential billion-dollar dilution facility called the SEPA with Yorkville advisors. So the logic was simple. If the bull case is true, if the stock is tragically undervalued at $8, the insiders, the CEO, the directors, the officers, should be buying hand over fist. They should be greedy. When you know your house is worth $1 million and the market is offering it to you for $500,000, you buy. You don't sell. But here is what the new data shows. On December 3rd, 2025, a Form 144 was filed by Shen. Now, Shen isn't just a random employee. This is an officer of the company. A Form 144 is a notice of proposed sale. It is the form you file when you are planning to dump restricted stock onto the public market. According to the document, Shen registered to sell 163,766 shares. The aggregate market value of that sale was approximately $1.44 million. Let's pause and think about the psychology of that trade. The stock is hovering near its all-time lows. The company just released a blockbuster earnings report showing massive growth. And yet, an officer of the company looked at that setup, looked at the $8 price tag, and said, I'm taking my $1.5 million off the table. If they believed the stock was going to double in the next 6 months because of the arbitrage of perception we talked about, why would they sell now? You don't sell at the bottom if you believe it's the bottom. You sell at the bottom if you need liquidity, or if you think the bottom has a basement underneath it. And it wasn't just Shen. Fast forward to January 2nd, 2026. Another Form 144 hits the tape. This one is from Wang Haichen, a director of the company. Now, the size of this trade was smaller, about 5,700 shares, worth roughly $50,000. But the signal is identical. It's another insider, another person with access to non-public information, deciding that cash is better than equity right now. This brings us back to that red flag framework we discussed. One of the biggest red flags was insider selling versus buying. We said that silence on the buying front was deafening. Well, now the silence has been broken by the sound of selling. When you look at the nature of acquisition on these forms, it gets even more interesting. For Shen, these shares were acquired as restricted stock units, or RSUs, on September 26, 2025. That date is important. That was right before the lockup expiration in October. So these insiders got their shares, they waited for the lockup to expire, and as soon as the window opened, they started filing the paperwork to monetize. This connects directly to the shelf offering risk we analyzed previously. Remember, we saw those massive F1 registration statements for 147 million shares. We suspected that the early investors and insiders were queuing up to sell. These Form 144s are the confirmation that the queue is moving. It's not just a theoretical risk anymore. It is an active distribution. Now, I know what the optimists are going to say. They will say, look, executives sell stock for all kinds of reasons. Maybe they need to pay taxes. Maybe they're buying a house. It doesn't mean the company is bad. And that is true. In a vacuum, one executive selling $1 million worth of stock isn't a death sentence, but we are not operating in a vacuum. We are operating in a specific context where the stock is down 35% and where there's a massive valuation gap between Webull and Robinhood. In that specific context, you want to see conviction. You want to see the leadership team defending the share price with their wallets. We are not seeing that. We are seeing the opposite. We talked about how the stock price seems to get stuck in these tight ranges, like 830 to 860. We called it managed liquidity. When you have insiders and early investors dripping stock into the market every single day, it acts like a wet blanket on the price. Every time a new buyer steps in thinking they've found a bargain, an insider steps up to meet them with supply. The price can't go up because the selling pressure is relentless. This explains the good news drop phenomenon we saw after the Q3 earnings. Remember, they beat earnings, revenue was up 55%, and the stock popped for a minute and then bled out. Why? Because that pop was a liquidity event. That volume spike was exactly what the sellers needed to unload their shares without crashing the price. They are feeding the ducks while the ducks are quacking. And there's another layer to this update. We also have this Form 20-F-A filing. Now, a 20F is an annual report for foreign private issuers, and the A means it's an amendment. Usually, these are technical corrections, but the fact that they're actively amending and filing these robust regulatory documents confirms that the company is very much focused on maintaining its compliance and its registration status. They are keeping the machine oiled. They need these registrations to be active and accurate so that the selling can continue legally. It highlights the foreign private issuer risk we touched on. Webull is a Cayman Islands holding company. It operates in the U.S., but the corporate structure is offshore. The filings remind us of that complexity. And when you combine a complex offshore structure with a controlled company status, where the founder owns all the super voting shares, you realize that retail shareholders are really just passengers. We don't have a hand on the steering wheel. And right now, the people who do have their hands on the wheel are taking some chips off the table. So where does this leave us? Does this mean the stock is a trash can fire, as the Bear report suggested? Not necessarily. We have to be fair to the data. The underlying business is still performing. Nothing in these new filings negates the fact that they made $36 million last quarter. Nothing negates the fact that customer assets grew 84%. The diamond is still there. The business is real. It's not a fraud. It's not a ghost ship. It is a cash-generating machine. But the stock is broken, and there's a massive difference between a good company and a good stock. A good company generates profit. A good stock goes up. Right now, Webull is a good company with a bad stock. The stock is suffering from a supply-demand imbalance that is being exacerbated by its own insiders. Think about the Yorkville SEPA again in light of this new information. We know there's a facility to sell up to $1 billion of stock to Yorkville advisors. We know Yorkville typically sells those shares immediately into the market. Now add the insider selling on top of that. You have two massive sources of supply, the financing arm and the executive arm, both potentially hitting the bid at the same time. And who is on the other side? Who is buying? It's the person who looks at the PE ratio of 8 and thinks they found a loophole. It's the index funds from the Russell 3000 inclusion. Those are the buyers. But are there enough of them to absorb hundreds of millions of dollars of selling pressure? The chart says no. The chart says the sellers are winning. The trend is down. And until that trend changes, catching this falling knife is incredibly dangerous.
There's a concept in forensic finance called the validation phase. You have a thesis, you wait for data, and then the data either validates or invalidates your thesis. The original bear thesis was that the lockup expiration would trigger a distribution phase. These Form 144s are the validation of that thesis. We are in the distribution phase. It is happening right now.
So, what is the chaos twist here? The twist is that good news might actually be dangerous for you in the short term. Usually, you want good news. You want a big partnership announcement or a new product launch. But in this specific structural setup, good news brings volume. And volume is exactly what the sellers are starving for. If Webull announces a massive expansion into Europe next week and the stock spikes to $10, I guarantee you will see a flood of Form 144s hit the tape a few days later. The insiders will use that spike to sell more aggressive blocks. So, ironically, the better the company does, the more liquidity the insiders have to exit, which keeps the stock price suppressed. It's a paradox. You are trapped in a cycle where the company's success is being used to facilitate the exit of early money, rather than to reward new money. This brings us back to the valuation argument. The Bull report argues that Webull should trade like Robinhood. It argues for a 40 times earnings multiple. And mathematically, that makes sense. If you just look at the growth rates, Webull is arguably cheaper and faster growing than Robinhood. But markets are not just calculators. Markets are voting machines. And right now, the market is voting that Webull deserves a governance discount and a dilution discount. The market is saying, we don't trust the share count to stay stable. And honestly, why should they? Between the SEPA, the warrants, and the shelf offering, the share count is likely inflating every single quarter. When you own a stock, you own a percentage of the business. If the company prints 20% more shares, your ownership stake drops by 20%. That is the silent dilution we warned about. You might own the same number of shares, but you own less of the company. So what is the actionable move here? First, you have to respect the trend. The trend is down or sideways at best. The support at $8 is being tested. If the selling pressure from these Form 144s intensifies, that $8 level could break. And if it breaks, there is very little technical support below it. Second, you have to watch the volume-weighted average price, or VWAP. If you are going to enter, you don't want to buy when the stock is popping. You want to buy when it is boring. We need to see a quarter where there are 0 Form 144 filings. We need to see a quarter where the shelf registration goes dormant. We need to see the flow dry up. Once the sellers are done, once they've cashed out their RSUs and their early stakes, then the stock can actually react to the fundamentals. Because eventually, the fundamentals will win. Eventually, if they keep growing earnings at 50% a year, the company will simply be too cheap to ignore. The cash on the balance sheet will become so large that they might start buying back their own stock. That is the pivot point. That is the moment the diamond starts to shine brighter than the machine. But we're not there yet. These filings tell us we are still in the thick of the churn. We are still in the messy divorce phase where the SPAC sponsors and the early executives are splitting up their assets. If you are a long-term believer in the platform, if you use the app and you love it, you can look at this as an accumulation zone. You can say, I'm willing to buy the shares that Shen is selling because I have a 5-year horizon and he has a 5-day horizon. That is a valid strategy, but you have to go into it with your eyes wide open. You are providing exit liquidity to an insider. You are taking the risk that they are shedding. There's also the China discount to consider, which came up in our previous research. The geopolitical tension is always a backdrop, but frankly, right now, the domestic selling pressure is a bigger factor than any geopolitical headline. The danger is coming from inside the house. I also want to touch on the short squeeze narrative one more time, because I see it in the comments constantly. People see the stock down and think it has to squeeze. But look at the data again. The cost to borrow shares is practically zero. There are millions of shares available to lend. And now we know insiders are dumping shares into the market. That adds to the float. It makes shares even easier to find. A short squeeze requires scarcity. It requires a lack of shares. Webull has an abundance of shares. We are drowning in shares. So betting on a squeeze here is fighting the math. The math suggests a slow grind.
It suggests that the stock will likely trade in this $8 to $10 range for a while longer as the market digests this supply. So here is the synthesis of the update. The thesis has not changed. It has deepened. The diamond is real. Profitability is real. Growth is real. But the machine is also real, and it is currently active. The new Form 144 filings are the proof that the machine is running. We are seeing a transfer of wealth from impatient early insiders to patient public shareholders. The question you have to ask yourself is, how patient am I? If you buy today, you are betting that the machine will eventually run out of fuel. You are betting that Shen and Wang Haichen will eventually run out of shares to sell. And when that happens, the price will finally be free to catch up to the value. But until that day comes, you are swimming upstream. You are fighting the flow. I'm going to keep watching these filings like a hawk. I want to see if the CEO, Anthony Denier, or the founder, Wang Onquan, step in. If we see a Form 4 from one of them buying $1 million worth of stock, that changes everything. That is the all-clear signal. That is the bell ringing at the bottom of the market. But until that bell rings, we remain cautious. We respect the data. And the data right now says the sellers are still in control. It's a fascinating setup because it's so rare to see a company doing this well financially while its stock acts this poorly. It's the ultimate test of fundamental versus technical analysis. I'll be tracking the next batch of filings. If the selling accelerates, we need to know. If it stops, we need to know. Because the moment this distribution phase ends, the run to $16 could happen very, very quickly. But you can't have the run until the selling stops. That is the reality of the situation. It's not doom and gloom, it's just mechanics. And in the stock market, mechanics usually beat sentiment in the short run. I'll see you in the next update. Keep your eyes on the filings.